And welcome to Hermis at Large, and as you can see, I have with me here Doug Belanger. Doug Belanger, as you should know by now, is a candidate for the 2nd Worcester Senate District. On today's show, we're supposed to be having a debate, and we're going to go forward with the debate. Candidate Michael Moore from Millbury, who's also a candidate for the 2nd Worcester Senate District, has been invited on 3 separate occasions to participate in this debate. Not only, as you can see, he's not here in the studio, he has refused to answer. His campaign has flatly failed to respond to the invitations. This, I might add, after I was approached by them to get him onto my program. So, we're going to go right into it. Doug, I want to thank you for taking the time from your busy schedule to sit down with us today and go over some of these positions. First of all, Doug, let me ask you, how's everything going on the campaign trail? Because I know you've been knocking on a lot of doors.
I have been, and I appreciate you having me here. It is unfortunate that Mr. Moore has chosen not to participate. Quite frankly, back in May, I had invited him to join me in debates throughout the district, in every town, in every ward of the city. And I think it's important that the people hear us, compare. This is an important position, and I think before people vote, well-informed voters always will make the best decisions. And so I was hoping that we would sit side by side, answer questions. I agreed to any format. I always only half-jokingly say I'd meet at high noon on the Common, but the thing is, I do think it's important that people should be able to see our positions, be able to make the differences. The newspapers will give a brief summaries, and they pick and choose sort of how they target and summarize things, but it's not the same as sitting side by side, answering questions from people in the audience, questions from interviewers. So I think it's important, and although there'll be a couple of other debates, and that's been Mr. Moore's answer, well, there'll be some. That's true, but right now there's nothing scheduled for Millbury, nothing scheduled for Upton, nothing scheduled for the town of Grafton, and I just think that that's unfortunate. So again, I make that offer. I'd be happy to meet anywhere, under any format, and have serious discussions of the issues, invite people in to ask what's on their minds. It is those people that we're asking to represent. They should know who we are and what we're going to do.
Absolutely.
So, you know, I just, again, it's unfortunate. But on your question, Hermis, and again, I do appreciate the time, and I hope the public really does take a look at the candidacy and the experience. When I go and when I meet with people, small groups, big groups, individuals, door to door, the response is tremendous. I want to thank people for inviting me into their homes. A lot of hot days, myself and my family, because they go out too, my wife and my 2 children. And people offer us water. A few other people have offered me more than water, and I just have to pass it up. It's tempting sometimes, especially when the ball game's on. They're watching it. Come on in and have a beer. You know, it's
right.
Like, thanks, but no thanks. So it's been fun, and it's certainly a lot of work, but it's invigorating because people energize me, and that's really what's always made me tick.
Well, I know that you enjoyed the public, and I saw firsthand anyway that when you're received at the doors that I followed you to, you're received with smiles. As a matter of fact, excuse me, by now you've seen one of my shows where I was following Doug around with a camera, and I put some of those folks on television with Doug, and you've already seen that, and you'll see some more. I just want to add also that Mike Moore had the same opportunity, and he's chosen to just ignore this program. I can't figure out for the life of me why. Go back to the Shrewsbury debate that was held, and of which I have footage, and which we'll be going over. One of the things, and there were several things, but one of the things that I thought was troubling was that Mike Moore, who is running basically on a public safety, law and order type platform, because he keeps interjecting that he's been a police officer for some 20 years, and who, by the way, is now working at the Sheriff's Department, and who, by the way, his wife is an assistant district attorney. Now, there was a question asked about Jessica's Law, and the question was put to him first because they were going back and forth, and it just happened to be his turn first, and then yours. And he said he was not familiar with Jessica's Law. This man who was running on a law and order platform had no idea what Jessica's Law was about. Now, I got to remind you folks that this is a man that's working at a jail, the Worcester County Jail, the House of Correction, where some of the people that are incarcerated there fit under those heinous crimes covered by Jessica's Law. And his wife is an assistant district attorney, and he has no idea what that law is about. I wanted to point that out, and I want to ask you your opinion, your remarks, if you have any, along those lines on how someone in that position can be so ignorant of such a significant law.
Well, I guess I was surprised, first of all, because it had been in the papers. Karen Polito had proposed this, I'm going to say 2 years ago, if not pretty close to that, and it had been debated, and quite frankly, she had trouble getting it out of committee for a while in the House, then it came out to a hearing. But the newspapers and the radio talk shows and everything that keeps you informed in a public arena had been talking about it for, again, close to 2 years. When the bill finally passed, it was passed in a lesser version than Representative Polito wanted, and again, that was headline news, top of the fold, Telegram and Gazette and every small or independent newspaper. So I was surprised, I guess, what it comes down to. And the other thing is, as I said on a recent radio show that Michael did appear on with me, was that I also don't think it's something that can be used or politicized, but yet as he tried to accuse that's what I was doing. But the reality is, it is a political debate, and it more likely than not will come up again because the lighter sentencing was passed, and Representative Polito has indicated that she really wants to look for that tougher bill. And by the way, I do think that that's important. I think that it's important to get back into the public arena, to have the public debate, but certainly to know the parameters of it, to be able to have that debate. We're talking about wanting to represent a large portion of this state. There's only 40 senators in the whole state. So individuals can't know everything about everything. And you do have to know what's coming up, what's going to be voted on, what issues are before the people, and what are being debated in the public arena. I do think that's part of our obligation. So.
And we want you to know that Hermis at Large has extended 3 separate invitations to Michael Moore to appear on the show, and also to debate his opponent, Doug Belanger, on the show. And Mr. Moore has failed to show up. As we go on, we'll see footage of the Shrewsbury debate, and you'll see exactly why it is he has failed to show up. It is evident to me now why he has failed to show up for debates and continues to avoid debates.